Isn't it nice when the sport we're all loving so much provides some great action? 2 in a row now. 2. These past 2 F1 Grand Prix were just brilliant to watch. Anyway, how's it going everyone? Chip here with the preview and predictions video for the F1 2019 German Grand Prix. I hope you're all doing fantastic wherever you are. But first, a few notes. The last Grand Prix in Britain provided us with quite possibly the best F1 action in the hybrid era. And I know that doesn't mean that much, but it was a nice change in proceedings. Yes, Hamilton won. Yes, it was another Mercedes 1-2. But besides that, it was so much more. Overtakes up and down the field, on-the-fly strategies, charges through the field, and of course, that duel between Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen. Remy Arnoux versus Gilles Villeneuve in France 1979? Not quite, but well, how can that be even possible in today's environment? So instead of comparing, let's just enjoy. Because among the many faults of modern Formula One, it sure was refreshing to finally enjoy a Formula One Grand Prix. I sincerely hope you've watched these last 2 races and, well, remind yourself that F1 can be a little bit more than cars going around in circles. I surely did. Now the fast circus is getting ready for the next events. That's right, events. The German and Hungarian Grand Prix are run back-to-back before the whole series takes a well-earned summer break. This weekend, the Hockenheimring hosts the 11th Grand Prix of the season round its 4.5 kilometers layout. The race lasting 67 laps for a total racing distance of 306 kilometers. Another recently shortened circuit, this current layout retains roughly a third of the original 6.8 kilometers layout. Personally, this was never one of my favorite tracks on the calendar. I found either versions lacking character. Perhaps knowing that a proper circuit like the Nordschleife is not that far away from Hockenheim, and putting these two side by side is like comparing Darth Vader with, I don't know, this guy from Ant-Man. It just lacks credibility. All I can say is that at least the old Hockenheimring had the super fast forest section where slipstreaming was seriously OP. But this current configuration is plain and simple boring. With its fair share of stop and go sections, reasonably long acceleration zones, and generally medium fast corners, tires will be subjected to average levels of tire stress and lateral forces. The aero packages required are not as extreme as they were at Silverstone, but this ain't no Monza either. As for the asphalt itself, its grip and abrasion are slam bang in the middle of the spectrum, but the track evolution is quite pronounced. For this GP, Pirelli brings in the C2, C3 and C4 compounds, a selection that should favor the soft-on tires cars, Mercedes, Red Bull and Alfa Romeo. A one-stop strategy should be the fastest one, but I don't see everyone able to pull this off. So come race day, we should see a good combination of 1 and 2 stoppers. As far as the weather goes, it looks rather promising. By which I mean, on Saturday we'll have almost scorching temperatures, but come race day, much cooler ones with a chance of rain. Right, let's now see the major talking points ahead of the German Grand Prix. Number 1, Mercedes with a nod to racing's past. In a very nice touch if you ask me, Mercedes will be celebrating 2 major milestones for its brand at this 2019 German GP. An old-style logo will be prominent on the front of both Hamilton's and Bottas's cars, plus a very fancy, very vintage new paint job. Back in the old days of 1894, there was a race held between Paris and Rouen, a distance of about 126 kilometers. The winner of this 2-stage race was the Count of Dion Jules Albert in a steam-powered machine. But because the race organizers decided the primary purpose of the event was to see how a petrol-powered car would fare, the official winner was one Albert Lemaitre, driving a Peugeot. I'm butchering these names, I know. And what, I hear you ask, does any of this have to do with Mercedes? Well, my Padawans, the engine in that Peugeot was made to the design of one Gottlieb Daimler. And not only the winner's car. As much as 8 other machines of the 17 actual finishers were propelled that day by motors made from Mr. Daimler's blueprints. So yes, what is quite possibly the very first petrol-powered race, motor race in history, was won by a predecessor to the mighty Mercedes-Benz of today. As for the other reason why the 2019 F1 German GP is special to the Stuttgart-based giant, apart from, being actually held in Germany, is that it will mark the 200th World Championship race entered by the Silver Arrows. With 187 F1 races since their return to Formula 1 in 2010, plus the 12 events they've entered in 1954 and 1955, this German GP will be Mercedes-Benz's 200th race. And, before you ask, 96 victories, 108 pole positions, 70 fastest laps, 7 drivers' world championships, and 5 constructors. If you're curious. Okay, enough with the all too distant history, let's now take a look at number 2 make or break for Ferrari, and more specifically, Sebastian Vettel. Yes, it's getting close to that. This time last year, both the Red Team and Vettel were very much in contention for both titles. Then Germany 2018 happened. Vettel binned it while leading the race. Hamilton won from freaking 14th on the grid. And the rest is silver-tinted history. I don't want to sound too down, but to me, this championship is already a write-off for Ferrari. More often than not, they're looking over their shoulder at Red Bull rather than ahead to Mercedes, and with the kind of mistakes they're still making, I feel it is time to concede any title aspirations in 2019. They should just take a leaf out of Red Bull Honda's approach and aggressively develop both the car and the power unit, regardless of possible penalties. And is that acceptable for the team that holds the most powerful power unit on the grid? Number 3, first major upgrade for Racing Point. The Canadian team from the secure location of the umbrella that is Lawrence Stroll with his very big and very full pockets are planning to introduce a 2-part B-spec car. Apparently in Germany a very big upgrade is scheduled to appear at the back end of the car, with a similarly big one in Hungary for the front end of the car. Will this propel the team a little bit higher up the grid? Well, considering that only the pointless Williams and the joke that has become Haas are behind them points-wise, it can't get any worse for the Pink Panthers. Number 4, the hilariously curious case of Haas. Round 2. Speaking of the bottom end of the championship, what the hell is going on with Haas? Like I've said in a previous video, they have started the season with quite a good car. Then, little by little, upgrade by upgrade, they ruined it. First, their race pace was gone. Then the quali performance went, only to make a brief return in Austria, then disappear without a trace 1 race later. Add in a couple of drivers that spent more time crashing than actually racing, and we've got ourselves a pretty decent sitcom. But that's not all. Oh no, because away from the track, one bearded man with far too much time at his disposal and one supremely shady company, or it is two now, I can't really keep up, are keeping the show on the road. Seriously, I won't talk about the Rich Energy saga because frankly I can't do it any justice, but yeah, hopefully you've all seen it unfold on Twitter. If not, I'm sorry, you've missed some Dumb and Dumber levels of insanity. Trouble is, it is all too real. The only silver lining is that the Netflix producers are surely besides themselves. And finally, number 5, tis the season to be silly. It is upon us, ladies and gentlemen, and the protagonists this year: Kubica, Perez, the 2 crash dummies of Haas, one particular 4-time world champion, the sidelined Ocon, and one Fernando Alonso. But no Kimi Raikkonen for the first time in 12 years? Who will end up where? Stay tuned for the next episode of Formula 1, the silly season. We put the silly in everything really. Right, drinking game for the German Grand Prix. During the race, take 1 sip for every pit stop, 2 sips for every overtake and accident, and down your drink every single time someone mentions it's also Nico Hulkenberg's home race. Because it bloody is, and it'll be a damn shame if it's not acknowledged. And so we arrive at the thing called predictions. Pole position, Sebastian Vettel. Fastest lap of the race, Charles Leclerc. Come the end of the race from P10 to P5, Perez, Raikkonen, Ricciardo, Sainz, Gasly and Leclerc. P4, Max Verstappen. P3, Lewis Hamilton. P2, Valtteri Bottas, and the winner, just to put his old demons behind, Sebastian Vettel. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Do you agree? Do you disagree with my picks? Please let me know in the comments. Also, any other F1 related question you might have, please ask away. I'll be more than happy to try and answer it. Drop a like if you think I've earned it. Maybe hit the subscribe button as well, and please make sure to share this video with a racing fan. As always, I've been Chip. You can find me on Twitter at chip_DGS and on facebook.com/digitalgrandstand. We had 2 great races in a row now. Let's make it 3. Cheers. The previous predictions round its 4 point. These last 2 supremely big and full wallet of